And cognitive dissonance is influenced by three things. Number one is importance. And I'll be providing examples. Importance is, for example, cognitive dissonance is when you know you have to study, but you don't really study, right? For many of you, cognitive dissonance is you know you have to come to lecture, but many students don't come to lecture, okay? And one way they say, well, I don't have to come because it's not important, okay? So if people think that something is not important, they will not really do the effort. They will not make the change. Another type of cognitive dissonance, I don't know about you guys here, I just don't know, but for the young generation will be smoking cigarettes. I don't know how many of you smoke. Maybe you don't smoke, maybe you do. But many young people know and understand that smoking is bad for your health, right? But they do it anyway, okay? So sometimes the problem is importance. For smoking, it could be very different. I'll be explaining this in a minute. Alright, enough talking, okay? Because I see a lot of people just keep talking, and everyone hiding behind everybody else. Big ring, yeah? Now, another type of cognitive dissonance, which you probably will maybe experience, maybe not experience, is that you have to read and prepare from the textbook. You know you should read the textbook, but most students don't read the textbooks. But you know that you have to read and study. Cognitive dissonance is you cannot prepare for PowerPoint. PowerPoint, not good enough, okay? Not good enough, all right? Another type of cognitive dissonance is eating some of those nice little meals which are very sweet and very nice and very tasty, but make you fat and make you unhealthy. And you know it's no good, but you just like to eat, okay? Another type of cognitive dissonance for many of you is you know you have to exercise on a regular basis, but most students don't exercise on a regular basis, okay? So the question now is why they don't exercise, why there is the difference. And one of the reasons is, well, it's not really that important to exercise in the sense, well, I'm young, I'm strong, I'm healthy, no big deal. I don't have to exercise anyway. So one of the fundamental problems is that people don't think that something is very important. Like, for example, you may not think that eating these 3 little pieces will make you fat. You say, oh, no, it's not going to make me fat. So no big deal, not important, okay? So that's one way to explain it. Another way for studying from the textbook, people say, well, textbook's not that important because I'm going to get a good grade anyway. And I'm going to get a good grade anyways, number 3, that's on page 247, reward. Reward and punishment. If you don't study from the textbook, there is no reward because if you study from the textbook, your grade will be just a little bit higher. No big deal. Your grade is not going to change, okay? Now, by the same token, I mean, if you eat those 3 or 4 pieces, how fat you're going to get? 5 grams? Maybe nothing. No big deal, okay? Now, if I smoke maybe 2 or 3 cigarettes every day, I mean, I say, hey, no big deal. I'm not going to get sick from 2 or 3 cigarettes a day. It's not a big deal. It's not going to hurt my health too much, okay? Another type of cognitive dissonance is associated with drinking. You all know that you shouldn't be drinking, but some of you, I don't know, maybe many of you, I have no idea how many, will probably go every few evenings and go out and drink, okay? And they say, well, it's no big deal, it's not going to get me sick, it's not going to ruin my school, it's not going to ruin my grades. So, some people don't see it very important, and some people see no big deal. Yeah, I mean, if you eat 3 or 4 of them are fat anyway, so what's the problem? If I smoke 2 or 3 cigarettes, I'm not going to get sick. No problem, okay? No big deal. So, it's no big deal, okay? Not a big problem. And another one is influence. And the influence in this particular case is whether the individual can change it or not change it. All of these examples that I gave you so far were examples where this was not important, whether it's either 1 or it's either 3. Now, let me try this one. Influence is when I can make a change and when I can make a difference. Now, for me, teaching here this course, the biggest cognitive dissonance is that I try to teach you to read the textbook, but most of the students don't read the textbook, okay? So the cognitive dissonance is, how are these students learning and passing exams if they don't read the textbook, okay? So, influences here. Can I change your culture, your mentality, and your attitude to learn to read the textbook? Learning to read the textbook for you is really good. It's really helpful. It will make a big difference for you. But the question is, can I really change you or not, okay? Now, one thing I will try to do is the following. I will be putting questions on the quiz in the midterm if it's not coming from PowerPoint. So, those who read the textbook will have a better reward. And those who don't read the textbook will be disadvantaged. They'll have hard times. So students will either have to read the book or have to come regularly in class and pay attention. And maybe I have a little bit of a difference. But a lot of times employees will say, well, it doesn't depend on me anyway, and I can't change it, so they don't care about it, okay? So that's all about cognitive dissonance and about what affects cognitive dissonance or not. It's the difference between what you know you should be doing, but what you really do or what you really don't do, okay? Well, because it's not important, because you can't change it anyway, because it doesn't make a difference, all right? So, people find excuses and explanations for not doing what they're supposed to do and to just keep doing it, okay? In other words, they find excuses and explanations to maintain the cognitive dissonance instead of resolving it, like stop smoking, start exercising, start reading the textbook to prepare for the exam, start coming regularly on class. Oh, stop drinking, right? Oh, for some of you, like your other classmate, stop coming 20 minutes late for class, right? All of those things, you know that they're not good, they're not right, but just do it anyway. Probably because everyone else is doing it, right? If everyone else is doing it, you do the same thing anyway, right? So that's cognitive dissonance. And it's part of attitudes too. I'm not going to get into the attitudes. I already went through the explanation. So, next section, section number 3, describe different personality theories. So, this whole idea of this section is that people are different. They got different personalities. And based on different personalities, they got different behaviors. And of course, different attitudes. And there are a number of different personality theories. So, here are a number of personality theories, and I'll go through some of them. Unfortunately, PowerPoint for one of them not good. So, number 1 is called Myers-Briggs. Let's make sure we got it. MBTI. MBTI, which is Myers-Briggs. Myers-Briggs, it's not in the book. Type indicator. Myers-Briggs type indicator. And it looks at personality. And personality can be, and now you have a number of, it's called dimensions. 4 dimensions. The first dimension is called extrovert. Extrovert. So, dimension A, extrovert. And the opposite is called introvert. Alright, someone can probably take those little toys that you like to play with, the iPads, and get the dictionary to translate what is extrovert and what is introvert. Okay? I mean, we need some, well, you need some translation. So, extrovert is someone who is looking towards the rest of the world, who is open towards others, who seeks communication with others, who likes to be with others, who is very sociable by nature. These are extroverts, okay? Now, an example of the opposite, which is introvert, someone who stays alone, someone who doesn't talk to anyone, someone who's looking into himself, who's working out on his own, who pays attention on his own. Alright, well, your colleague from Finland, alright, he's an introvert. Now, you gotta understand, this doesn't mean good, it doesn't mean bad, okay? Same thing, introvert doesn't mean good, doesn't mean bad, okay? In no way, just like tall and short doesn't mean good or bad. He's just a person who likes to do his work. And so, if you got an introvert, introverts are very good for one types of jobs. Extroverts are very good at other types of jobs, okay? For the service industry, for the services, you want extrovert type of people. Very good for waitress is an extrovert. So someone who's an extrovert is a good for waitress. Now, someone who's an introvert will make a very good architect. Or architect doesn't need to talk to a lot of people. He needs to draw, he needs to do the thing, he needs to present it. An introvert may be very good for writing books. An introvert could be very good for an accountant. He doesn't need to work with a lot of people. He doesn't need to do it. All he needs to do is to focus best programmers in the world are introverts. These are people who can sit on the computer and work on the computer all day long, 20 hours, and they don't care to be or to talk to anybody else. They just focus on their computer. They're in love with their computer and their internet, and that's pretty much it. Now, one of the more difficult questions today is the question of Facebook. If somebody's hanging out for 5 or 8 hours all day long on Facebook, is he really an extrovert or is he an introvert? You may say, oh, he's connecting with all of his friends electronically. Well, but at the same time, he is alone. He's spending all of the evening alone. He doesn't see anybody. He doesn't talk to anybody. Okay? To be social means to communicate with other people. What you guys do, you call them social activities. You go, you dance, you do your thing, drinking beer and all the other things. But if someone is spending all evening long and all week long, spending hours and hours on Facebook, but they're all alone at the same time, are they fundamentally extrovert or are they fundamentally introvert? Okay? So you may have this mixed type where it's kind of like one, but it's the other. Okay? And it's not clear what is what. But the point is, some people like to be on their own. They enjoy doing it on their own. Okay? For example, I prefer to do sports alone. I do my running alone. I don't need anybody or anything. I can do my swimming alone. I'm fine. Okay? I can go and do the weightlifting. I don't need company or anything else. Okay? I can do a great job myself. And I don't need, I mean, if I have a friend, as I've been having here, a Chinese friend, you know, I can do from time to time jogging together, but most of the times I'm fine doing alone, okay? So, that's number one. Number two is called sensing and intuition. All right, let's see now what is sensing and intuition. With sensing, people are focused on data. They're focused on observation. They're focused on what they see, sensing. They want to measure it, okay? They want to know about something, okay? So, some people are very oriented in terms of data. Others use intuition. In English it's called gut feeling. It's what your mind tells you. Usually men are more sensing and usually women are more intuitive. Women can just feel things, okay? And they can feel it in a matter of minutes. Men will need to analyze it. Men can take them days, weeks, or months to figure simple things which women can figure out in a few minutes, okay? Now, doesn't mean, again, that sensing is good, but it doesn't mean sensing is bad. Same thing. Intuition doesn't mean that people who are intuitive is good, and it doesn't mean it's bad. You just want to describe the person. And some people, for example, sensing people are a lot more appropriate, let's say, for accounting, okay? And intuitive people are more appropriate for arts, more appropriate to take pictures, more appropriate for advertising, okay? There are plenty of jobs. So they're more appropriate for web design, okay? How to make the web page. Well, they got an intuition. You can't just analyze with numbers and metrics and all the other things. So, Some people who possess intuition are very, very good at some types of jobs, and others with the sense. Now, the third dimension will be thinking and feeling. Thinking is about analyzing, is about trying to understand what things, how they work, why they work, what the problems are. And feeling is more about emotions. Trying to hurt feelings, trying to... So some people can immediately use their intuition and sense feelings of others, okay? And some people which are very thinking sometimes are not good at feeling other people and can hurt other people's feeling because they're not sensitive to their feelings, okay? Again, doesn't mean good. Thinking people doesn't make them good, doesn't make them bad, okay? Same thing. Those with feelings doesn't mean good, doesn't mean bad. They're just different people, different and more appropriate for different types of jobs, okay? And the last one is judging. And perceiving. So, this is how people deal with the external world, okay? Judging means that they do everything planned in a very, very orderly fashion. They want to plan, they want to do first this, then this, then this. Some people are very orderly in how they arrange and work with the rest of the world. And others are flexible. Perceiving is more flexible, more spontaneous, sometimes more chaotic, okay? For example, when I did my trip last weekend, I was in Singapore, okay? And I did a simple travel for 3 days, okay? The only part that I needed was where I'm going to sleep. And all I asked was, where are the hotels where I can find a hotel, right? The place where I can find a hotel. And they told me, oh, you go on this street, there are 100 hotels. You can easily find a hotel. And then I had no plan. I was 100% spontaneous. I did not have where to go and what to do. I just walk around the city to see what's going on, take pictures. So, for one thing, I had a clear plan. For all the rest, I had no plan whatsoever. When I arrived, my plan was to find a hotel to sleep. I found it in 1 hour. And after that, I had no plan at all, except that 2 days or 3 days later, I got to fly back here, okay? So that's an example when you can approach it 2 ways, okay? So some people are more judging, and some people are more perceiving, and it's the same explanation I give you. Judging doesn't mean good, doesn't mean bad. And perceiving doesn't mean good, doesn't mean bad, okay? They're just different people with different types. So, this is one type of classifying personalities. It's called the MBTI, Myers-Briggs Type Indicator. So that's number one. So this is one way. What we're talking here is personality theories. So this is theory number one. Theory number two, let's see coming over here, is called the Big Five. So number two is Big Five. And Big Five is related to the Big Five model of personality. So a person will be some of these characteristics. So these are the 5 types of characteristics. Characteristic number one is extraversion or extroversion. Extraversion is the same as the extrovert over here. It is exactly the same. To what extent they're open to the rest of the world as opposed to their inner self and themselves internally. In a sense, extroversion tells you, and you can write the key words are sociable, if people are sociable and like to socialize. If people are talkative, if they talk a lot or don't talk a lot, and if they are assertive, usually extroverts are very sociable, they like to talk a lot, okay, and they are also assertive. They like to make people do things they want them to do, okay. So these are more extroverts, okay. Introverts don't talk too much, okay? They're not very sociable. They stay with themselves, okay? They don't like to impose on others what to do. Again, doesn't mean good, doesn't mean bad. Just who the person is, all right? Extroverts are very, very good for sales jobs and for sales positions, okay? Number two is agreeableness, okay? And you want to see agreeableness is what you call a good guy or a good girl. If someone has a good nature, okay, what you call good personality, okay? And part of agreeableness is if they are cooperative. Will they work with you? Will they help you? Will they cooperate? Okay? These are the key words. And the last one is, with agreeableness, is trusting. Sometimes people are not trusting. People are suspicious. They think that others want to use them, that others want to abuse them, that others want to benefit from them. And agreeableness is someone who's trusting, who's willing to trust the other person. All right? So that's number two, agreeableness. Number three is called conscientious. Conscientious. And conscientiousness determines whether someone is reliable. If he says he's going to do something, he will do something. If someone is dependable, you can depend on them or cannot depend on them. If they say they'll help you, they will help you. Now, someone is not conscientious when they change their mind. Yeah, I'm going to do this. No, I'm going to do that. Oh, I'm going to eat this. Or, well, we're going to go exercise. They say, no, I don't want to go exercise. Or say, tonight we're going to go drinking, right? And they say, no, I don't want to go drinking. I want to watch movies, okay? So, they change their mind. You can't rely on them. You cannot depend on them, okay? So conscientious people are very, very, very good workers. And people who are not conscientious usually don't make good workers. Conscientious also means persistent. Conscientious people try again and again and again. They don't give up. They don't change their mind, okay? So, you got the translation for conscientious over there, busy. Conscientious, you got it? Your friend got it? Well, what is it? Tell everyone. You got it? You understand? Repeat again. Okay? So that's conscientious. Number 3. Number 4 is emotional stability. Some people are very emotionally. Hello, those on the back. All right. Some people are, number 4, very emotionally stable. Others are emotionally unstable. Let's see what it means, okay? So, emotionally stable people are very calm, okay? Don't get excited and yelling. They're just calm, all right? So, that guy sitting over here, he's very, very emotionally stable, okay? He's very calm, he's very quiet, okay? Nothing wrong with that, okay? It's actually very good, all right? Now, it also means that they are also sometimes emotionally stable. They also feel secure, they feel good, they feel okay. Now, the emotionally unstable, they want more. They're not satisfied. They always try the next thing, okay? Emotionally unstable always experiments, okay? So, some people are very stable, some people are very emotionally unstable. And the last one they call openness to experience. And this relates to imagination. Are people imaginative? Are people artistic? Do they want to be artistic or don't want to be artistic? Or are they relatively intellectual? In other words, how they use experience and are they open to experience? Some people are not open to experience. They may see things and they still deny that something is happening, okay? Some people don't learn well from experience, okay? Now, some people learn very well from experience. So, all of these are 5 fundamental characteristics of a personality, and that's a different second number of theory about personality. Again, now we're in the world of psychology, and psychology is not clear. You will have many theories. There will be different theories. There will be competing theories. There will be conflicting theories, okay? And this one doesn't have to match with that one, okay? They may be similar in some ways, they may be different in other ways. But this is all about the psychology of one person. And next, we have what's called emotional intelligence. And again, emotional intelligence is composed again of 5 dimensions. Let's see what we got. These are skills that are not cognitive, not based on learning, okay? Usually, but not always, women are a lot more emotionally intelligent. Women feel, women perceive, okay? Women are a lot more observant, okay? So, here we got 5 characteristics. And one of them is self-awareness. Some people are aware of where they are, of what they do, of how they behave, okay? Let's see. And they are aware of their feelings. The word emotional relates to feelings, okay? Emotional is about feelings. So, some people are very, very aware of their feelings and of their emotions, okay? Number 2 is self-management. Some people can manage their feelings. They can change their feelings. They understand that they're depressed, and they understand that they gotta start to exercise and change their lives and get out of depression, okay? But if other people are depressed, for them the solution is to grab a bottle of whiskey and drink, okay? And that doesn't solve the problem. That doesn't manage the emotional problem. So when people have an emotional problem, some go about doing something about it and others don't do anything. They just get drunk, okay? But getting drunk doesn't solve the problem, doesn't manage the problem, just leaves the problem for tomorrow a little bigger, okay? Another very important characteristic is self-motivation. And self-motivation is about persisting despite having difficulties, despite failure. Sometimes when people experience failure, emotionally they collapse, okay? But others, when they experience failure, they get even more motivated to try again. So, but this is again, these are dimensions. Some people are very motivated, others are not motivated at all, okay? In other words, they will just give up quickly and easily. Some people will be very careful and manage, others will not manage at all, okay? So, different people are very different. Empathy is sensing how others feel, being able to get in one with their feelings, okay? Usually, but not always, women have a lot more empathy, okay? They can feel what the other person feels, and it's called empathize, and feel with them, meaning to share the other person's feeling, okay? Men, in this case, don't have empathy. In other words, we're less sensitive. We're insensitive to other people's feeling, or not as sensitive as women are, okay? That's the reason, example, we have social workers. Yeah, men could be social workers, but women are a lot better for social workers, because a social worker is a worker who works about the problems of other people and including their emotional feelings. Sometimes women can make good psychologists because they can feel what the other person is saying and they can associate and relate with them. Again, doesn't mean good, doesn't mean bad, okay? It's just how people are, okay? Like you can't say that yellow is good and green is bad, or green is good and yellow is bad, or blue is good, okay? I mean, you can't just say, oh, good or bad for whatever reason. And the last one is, part of it, social skills. And social skills is, in empathy, you feel or sense the feelings of others, but in social skills you actually manage the feelings of others, okay? You can actually calm them down, okay? A mother is a lot better at calming down a baby than the father, okay? And emotionally the baby runs to the mother, not to the father for this. So usually social skills, again, is about how you handle and manage the emotions of other people, okay? This is how you handle and manage your own emotions. This is your own emotions, this is the emotions of other people, okay? This is managing and this is only feeling and sensing, and you can, sense the feelings of others, okay? So, this is the third one, called number 3, emotional intelligence. Now, generally, as I was explaining, generally, not always, women have a lot more and better and higher developed emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence is very good for jobs related to services where you work with other people, where you gotta serve them, we gotta see what they have and what they want and be able to connect with them and communicate with them, okay? So, this relates to jobs. Of course, not all women are that, and by the same token, many men have good emotional intelligence, okay? But it's a lot better developed in most women and a lot less developed in most men. Again, doesn't make women better and men worse, just makes them better for one types of jobs and makes men better for other types of jobs, okay? And let's see what else we have over here. Okay, personality traits. I don't think they have anything in here. Yeah, not much. So personality traits is the same as personality trait is the same as characteristic. Sometimes it's pronounced trait, sometimes trait, okay? Personality traits is personality characteristic. And you have a number of them. The textbook provides 4 or 5. So let's write these down over here. Okay, I'll just write them over here. Number 1, locus. Number 1. Locus of control. Locus of control is the perception that people have, whether they control their own destiny or don't control their own destiny, whether they can change their lives or don't change their lives. Some people believe that life is in the hand of God. Others believe that their life is in the hands of the government. Some, like you, may think that, oh, my life is in the hands of my parents, okay? But for some, and I grew up, and it's part of Western culture, we believe that we hold our lives, our future in our own hands, okay? And if we work hard, if we do well, we're going to change our lives, okay? Now, when I was working in the Arab world, for anything that happens, they say, oh, it's in God's hands, okay, Allah's hands. So they pretty much don't try to struggle. They don't try to work hard. They don't try to do a lot of those things because it doesn't really depend on them, okay? Now, this is not a question whether it depends or it doesn't depend on you. It's about your perception. Some people think it depends on them, and other people think it doesn't depend on them. And these people will behave very, very, very different, okay? They will have different mentality. So, locus of control is important because it determines individuals' behavior. Those who believe they control their lives sometimes will be a lot more motivated. I've heard and I've seen a lot, even here, not amongst you, that say, oh, I'm born poor, and therefore I'll remain poor for the rest of my life. And there is nothing I can do to get out of poverty. And I say, well, how about hard work? How about learning? How about education, okay? So a lot of people just think that because they are poor, they will remain poor for the rest of their lives. That's not true. Well, again, that's my thinking. I think it's not true, but they think it's true, okay? Doesn't mean I'm right and they're wrong. It's just how people think. And based on how they think, that's how they behave. And all we're trying to do is to explain behavior and why they do what they do. Okay? So, for example, some people will be, let's say, girls will be waitress. And she's going to be waitress at the age of 18, and then 28, and then 38, and then 48, and then 58, okay? They're going to be waitresses all of their lives, okay? And for some reason, they cannot change or don't want to change or don't do anything to change. And they say, oh yeah, I want to get a better job. But they don't do anything about it, okay? Again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being a waitress. It's a good job when you're 18 or 20, okay? It's a good way to start life, but I don't think it's a great way to, great job to do for 20, 30, or 40 years, okay? No, that's what I think. Again, doesn't mean that I'm right. It's just, that's what I'm thinking. So that's locus of control. Number 2 is called Machiavellianism. Oh. Machiavelli is an intellectual in Italy, and a few hundred years ago he wrote a major book that would advise how kings can rule. He would write the rules of power, how to be powerful, how to get power, how to use power. So, Machiavellianism is about power, okay? But it's called pragmatism. And pragmatism is about being practical in order to achieve your goals, okay? So Machiavellianism is about practicality. How to be practical and how to be pragmatic. How about one of you over there, assistant, dictionary, pragmatic translates in Thai language. Pragmatic, P-R-A-G-M-A-I-T. Pragmatic means what? Translation, pragmatic. Dictionary, translate? You understand? Again? Okay, you got it? That's, I guess, pragmatic. Okay, I mean, I don't know what it means. So, pragmatic means someone who's practical. Someone who thinks that if you got a specific goal, you can do whatever it takes to get to your goal. Okay? That, if you want to have power, you can do anything you want to do just to get power. It's about practicality. You don't care about the feelings of others, okay? You just want to achieve your own goals, okay? Without caring too much about others. So, this is a very important characteristic, okay? Some people don't care about others. They want to get what they want to get, okay? Number 3, self-esteem. Oh, we're going to finish now in a few minutes. Self-esteem is about whether people feel good about them or bad about them. Whether they like themselves or don't like themselves, okay? And people with self-esteem will be more proud and more assertive and all the other things. And those with not self-esteem will be quiet and, they're going to be more passive in life. And one or two more is self-monitoring. For self-monitoring. We got a few more minutes, sorry. So, self-monitor are people who watch themselves, who observe themselves, who see how they're different from others and how they're the same like others. Okay? And the key is who adjust their behavior when they see it's necessary. So self-monitoring people observe themselves and they quickly adjust themselves. Okay? So usually people with a lot more experience will be a lot more self-monitoring. For example, I've worked in 9 different countries. I have lived and worked in 9. So I try and I have learned to be relatively more self-monitoring. Doesn't mean I'm perfect, but I'm relatively fast learner and I change relatively quickly based on culture, environment, and other things. And the last one is risk-taking. We've discussed this very early in this course. Some people are willing to take risks, and other people don't want to take risks. Okay? That's another. So, these are other important characteristics of a person. Locus of control. In other words, they believe whether they control their lives. Their pragmatism, number 2. Number 3, their self-esteem, how proud they are and how good they feel about themselves. Their self-monitoring, how well they can change and adjust their behavior depending on circumstances. And the last one is willingness to take risk. And with this, we're done. All right? Camera.